You know how Sabrina Carpenter opens Man-Child with her nervously laughing and then just going, oh boy? Yeah, that's how I feel about this year's Spooky TBR. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. This is not the full stack. There's another stack on the desk out of frame that you cannot see. But we've got a lot of books on this TBR this year. What did I do to myself, guys? What was I thinking? Oh man. Oh no. Well, I certainly have raised my expectations for myself this year to cram in more books. So I honestly, realistically have no idea if I am going to get to all these books for the rest of the year. Some of them may have to wait until next year, but point is, I could at least set myself a goal to get through as many of these as possible. So I figured I can at least show y'all what they are, what they're about, and for the rest of the fall, we could see how much we have read and if I made a visible dent. Otherwise, I really will be embarrassed with myself. This is it. Welcome to the 2025 TBR. This is going to be a long one, so grab a comfy blanket, get yourself a drink, ice, cold, whatever you gotta do to get yourself comfortable, because we're locking in right now. So, I should probably start by premising that some of these books throughout both piles I've already touched on in my most recent reading vlog for September and getting ready for fall, but I didn't really get much of an opportunity to go into what they were about because unfortunately I was sick when filming that portion and I just really did not have it in me to strain my voice and just make myself miserable. But now I actually have the opportunity to go into details about these books. So that's a little heads up, just in case you see some repeats in here. So I think I'll probably just start from top to bottom here and then just do vice versa with the other pile. So, first one is one I actually got yesterday from Books A Million. This is Blood on Her Tongue by Joanna Van Veen. This is a gothic vampire novel that takes place in the 1880s in the Netherlands. So, I think from what I've read online, this is kind of like I think it's a comedy retelling. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's along that same, it's kind of the same ilk as Carmilla. So let me read you the back blurb so that way you get a sense of what Blood on Her Tongue is about. Alright, now ready, boys. Got water with me, so let's do this. Okay. The Netherlands, 1887. Lucy's twin sister Sarah is unwell. She refuses to eat, mumbles nonsensically, and is increasingly obsessed with a centuries-old corpse recently discovered on her husband's grand estate. The doctor has diagnosed her with temporary insanity caused by fever of the brain. To protect her twin from a terrible fate in a lunatic asylum, Lucy must unravel the mystery surrounding her sister's condition. But it's clear her twin is hiding something. That again, Lucy is harboring secrets of her own too. Oh boy. Then the worst happens. Sarah's behavior takes a turn for strange. Ooh. She becomes angry and hungry. Lucy soon comes to suspect that something is trying to possess her beloved sister. Or is it madness? As Sarah changes before her very eyes, Lucy must reckon with dark, monstrous truth, or risk losing her forever. Ooh. So that sounds very up my alley. And also, can we take a moment to talk about the spade edges? Because this book probably is a contender for prettiest cover right now, because that's just chef's kiss. So, book number 1, Blood on Her Tongue. Book number 2, this is also one I got from Books A Million yesterday. This is the newest Emma Rio book, Hot Wax. So, fun fact, I read If We Were Villains by this author. It was meh for me, but then I read Graveyard Shift by her as well this year, and that was somewhat better. So this, I'm hoping, will really solidify if I am an Elmo Rio fan or not. So let's find out what Hot Wax is together. Summer 1989. 10-year-old Susanna is drawn like a magnet to her father's forbidden world of electric guitars and tricked-out cars. When her mother remarries, she jumps at the chance to tag along on the concert tour that just might be Gil and the Kills' wild ride to glory. But fame has sharper fangs than anybody realized, and the band blazes up the charts. Internal power struggles set Gil and his group on a collision course destined for a bloody reckoning, one shrouded in mystery and lore for years to come. The only witness to a desperate act of violence, Suzanne spends the next 29 years trying to disappear. She trades the chaos and music of her youth for the quiet of the suburbs and the company of her mild-mannered husband, Rob. But when her father's sudden death resurrects the troubled past she tried so hard to bury, she leaves it all behind and hits the road in search of answers, hitching her fate in Gil's beloved car to an old Airstream trailer and the 2 vagabonds who call it home. She finds everything she thought she lost forever: desire, adventure, and a woman she once wanted to be. But Rob refuses to let her go. Determined to bring her back where he thinks she belongs. Really, Rob? Rob chases her across the country and drives her to a desperation all her own. Drenched in a knockdown, drag-out rock and roll, Hot Wax is a raucous, breakneck ride to hell and back, where getting lost might be the only way to find yourself and save your soul. This kind of reminds me of the Grady Hendrix book, We Sold Our Souls, but instead of, making deals with devils, it's kind of more of a thriller, Thelma and Louise kind of book. So, again, very hopeful for this. I think this might redeem Elmo Rio in my eyes. Who knows, but very excited for this. Alright, now comes to the part where some of these books you are familiar with on my channel already from having talked about them in previous videos. For the ones that I already have explained, I probably won't go into as much on, but the ones that I did get a chance to explain about, I will do my best to get through it as quickly as I can. So, again, we've got Stephen Graham Jones' little duology of Killer on the Road and The Babysitter Lives, so let me just pull up what it says on Goodreads. Alright, so this is the general preface of both books, according to the interweb. A must-have collector's item for horror fans, comprised of 2 novellas, The Babysitter Lives and Killer on the Road, from the new master of horror Stephen Graham Jones. The Babysitter Lives. when high school senior Charlotte agrees to babysit the Wilbanks twins. She plans to put the 6-year-olds to bed early and spend a quiet night studying. The SATs are tomorrow, and checking the Native American Alaska Native box on all forms won't help if she chokes on testing. But tomorrow is also Halloween. Oh boy. And the twins are eager to show off their costumes. Charlotte's last babysitting gig almost ended in tragedy when her young charge sleepwalked unnoticed into the middle of the street, only to be found unharmed by Charlotte's mother. Charlotte vows to be extra careful next time, but the house is filled with mysterious noises and secrets that only the twins understand. Echoes of horror that Charlotte gradually realizes took place in the house 11 years ago. What? Okay, sorry. I'm getting distracted by this. Soon Charlotte has to admit that every babysitter's worst nightmares come true. They're not alone in the house. Okay. Now this is the one for Killer on the Road. 16-year-old Harper has decided to run away from home after she has another blowout argument with her mother. However, her two best friends, little sister and ex-boyfriend, all stop her from hitchhiking her way up Route 80 in Wyoming by joining her on an intervention disguised as a road trip. What they don't realize is that Harper has been marked by a very unique serial killer who's been trolling the highway for the past 3 years. And now the killer is after all of them in this fast-paced and deadly chase novel that will have your heart racing well above the speed limit as the interstate becomes a graveyard. Okay, wow, those just both sold me right there. So, yeah, no, this is one I'm hoping to read this month, because it's currently September 21st. Yes, I know what date it is. I'm hoping to read this one this month, going into October, because I think that would be the perfect time to read this. So, very, very hopeful for this one. And then, do I really need to explain this one again? Reappearance of Rachel Price, Holly Jackson, mom goes missing, daughter's trying to get involved in her mysterious vanishment, but then mom comes back and we're trying to figure out what happened. I need to read this. I know I do. I might actually pick this up next. So stay tuned. Now, this is one that I did touch on a little bit in my last video. So this is The Ghostwriter by Julie Clark. This is a thriller novel that just came out this year. So I'll read you the preface since I didn't really get a chance to do that in the last video. June 1975. The Taylor family shatters in a single night when 2 teenage siblings are found dead in their own home. The only surviving sibling, Vincent, never shakes the whispers and accusations that he was the one who killed them. Decades later, the legend only grows as his career as a horror writer skyrockets. Ghostwriter Olivia Dumont has spent her entire professional life hiding the fact that she's the only child of Vincent Taylor. Now on the brink of financial ruin, she's offered a job to ghostwrite her father's last book. What she doesn't know, though, is that this project is another one of his lies. Because it's not another horror novel he wants her to write. After 50 years of silence, Vincent Taylor is finally ready to talk about what really happened that night in 1975. Oh man. So that's going to be very, very, very fun. I'm also hoping to read this month, as I selected it for my September TBR. Yeah, these two are definitely up there along with this, but we shall see what we get. Alright, before I jump into these next 5, how are we all doing? Are we okay? Because I know this is going to be a long video, so if you need to pause, take a bathroom break, go get a sip of water, do so. I'm going to give you 5 seconds, so if you need to pause, go pause and do what you need to do. Okay, are you good? Okay, because we're going to keep going. We're going! Okay. This next one, This Princess Kills Monsters by Rai Herman. This is a new fairy tale retelling that just came out this year, and this looks like a lot of fun. So, I'll read you the preface. Someone wants to murder Princess Melilet. This is sadly normal. Melilet is sick of being ordered to go on dangerous quests by her domineering stepmother, especially since she always winds up needing to be rescued by her more magically talented stepsisters. And now she's been commanded to marry a king she's never met. When hideous spider wolves attack on the journey to meet her husband-to-be, she is once again rescued, but this time by 12 eerily similar-looking masked huntsmen. Soon she has to contend with mere constant attempts on her life, a talking line that sets bewildering gender tests, and a king who can't recognize his true love when she puts on a pair of trousers. And all the while, she has to fight her growing attraction to not only one of the huntsmen, but also her fiancé's extremely attractive sister. If Melilet can't unravel the mysteries and rescue herself from peril, kingdoms will fall. Or worse, she could end up married to someone she doesn't love. So yeah, this just sounds goofy and silly, and I'm very much looking forward to reading this fall, if not probably early winter, so we'll see where we get on the reading journey for this. This one, okay, this one, I normally don't read romantasy. I don't read dark romance. But somehow, when my sister decided to send me a bunch of books from Book of the Month, this was included in the list. This is Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. We're just gonna see what it's about. So, here we go. Phantasma only has 2 rules. Stay alive and don't fall in love. Oh no. When Ophelia discovers her mother brutally murdered, there is no time to grieve. She has inherited the family's fearsome magic and enormous debt. Circumstances go from dire to deadly. However, when Ophelia's sister decides to pay off the loan by entering Phantasma, a competition where contestants rarely escape alive, the victor is granted a single wish. The only way for Ophelia to save her sister is to win. But Phantasma is a cursed manor, full of twisting corridors and lavish ballrooms staffed by enticing demons and fatal temptations. And Ophelia must conquer all 9 floors to succeed, if her fears don't overtake her first. When a charming, arrogant stranger claims he can help, Ophelia knows better than to trust him. But with her sister's life on the line, Ophelia can't afford to turn him away. She'll just need to ignore the overwhelming, dark attraction drawing them closer and closer together. Because in Phantasma, the only thing deadlier than losing a game is losing your heart. Oh no, what did my sister get me into? I'm just gonna give this one a try with an open mind at some point. I don't know if it'll be a favorite, but I'm at least willing to see what happens. And I like the appeal of a game and debts to pay off and family members going missing and stories, so I'll be reading a book for that. This next one is The Possession of Albadias by Isabel Cañas. I've only read Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. I have not read Vampires of El Norte just because I didn't love the Hacienda, but like it wasn't the worst book I ever read, but this one does sound very intriguing, so I'll read you the new synopsis once I get that back in order. Okay. When a demonic presence awakens deep in a Mexican silver mine, the young woman it seizes must turn to the one man she shouldn't trust. In 1765, plague sweeps through Zacatecas. Alba flees with her wealthy merchant parents and fiancé, Carlos, to his family's isolated mine for refuge. But safety proves fleeting as other dangers soon bare their teeth. Alba begins suffering from strange hallucinations, sleepwalking, and violent convulsions. She senses something cold lurking beneath her skin. Something angry. Something wrong. Elias, haunted by the troubled past, came to the New World to make his fortune and escape his family's legacy of greed. Alba, as his cousin's betrothed, is none of his business. Which is, of course, why he can't help but notice the growing tension between them every time she enters the room. And why he notices her deteriorate when the demon's thirst for blood gets stronger. In the fight for her life, Alba and Elias become entangled with the occult, the church, long-kept secrets, and each other, not knowing that one of these things will spell their doom. So that looks very spooky and fun, and that also is a gorgeous cover, so good on you, Isabella Cañas. That's fantastic. So I think that will definitely be in October or November read, depending on where I wind up. Next one we have is Play Nice by Rachel Harrison. This is by the same author as Cackle and Such Sharp Teeth and So Thirsty. I've only read Cackle by this author. It wasn't my favorite book last year, but this one sounds fun. Okay, let's read what it's about. Cleo Louise Barnes leads a picture-perfect life as a stylist and influencer. But beneath the glossy veneer, she harbors a not-so-glamorous secret. She grew up in a haunted house. Well, not haunted. Possessed. After Cleo's parents' messy divorce, her mother, Alex, moved Cleo and her sisters into a house occupied by a demon. Or so Alex claimed. That's not what Cleo's sisters remember or what the courts determined when they stripped her of custody after she went off the deep end. But Alex was insistent. She even wrote a book about her experience in the house. After Alex's sudden death, the supposed possessed house passes to Cleo and her sisters. Where her sisters see childhood trauma, Cleo sees an opportunity for house flipping content. Only, as the home makeover process begins, Cleo discovers there may be some truth to her mother's claims. As memories resurface, and Cleo finally reads her mother's book, the presence in the house becomes more real and more sinister, revealing ugly truths that threaten to shape Cleo's beautiful life to its very foundation. I'm sort of getting the vibe of a little bit of Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose mixed with the Netflix TV show version of Haunting of Hill House a little bit. I still have not seen Mike Flanagan's take on Haunting of Hill House, but from what I have gathered about that show, I'm sort of getting the vibe of in here. So this could be fun. I'm willing to give this author another chance. We'll see where this goes. Last one out of this first stack, because remember we've got another one over there. This is Half Sick of Shadows by Laura Sebastian. This sounds like, is this a King Arthur kind of retelling story? Because it says the story of Camelot is hers. So, is this supposed to be the Lady of the Lake, Nimue? Let's find out. Ooh, okay. The Lady of Shalott reclaims her story and is bold feminist reimagining of the Arthurian myth from the best-selling author of Ash Princess. Everyone knows the legend of Arthur, destined to be king, of the beautiful Guinevere, who will betray him with his most loyal knight, Lancelot, of the bitter sorceress, Morgana, who will turn against them all. But Elaine alone carries the burden of knowing what is to come, for Elaine of Shalott is cursed to see the future. On the mystical island of Avalon, Elaine runs free and learns of the ancient prophecies surrounding her and her friends. Countless possibilities, almost all of them tragic. When their future comes to claim them, Elaine, Guinevere, Lancelot, and Morgana accompany Arthur to take his throne in stifling Camelot, where magic is outlawed, the rules of society chain them, and enemies are everywhere. Yet the most dangerous threats may come from within their own circle. As visions are fulfilled and an inevitable fate closes in, Elaine must decide how far she will go to change destiny, and what she is willing to sacrifice along the way. Ooh. I remember the poem that I read in middle school about the Lady of Shalott, but I never really learned so much about the actual history behind this character, so I think it'd be a very interesting take on Arthurian mythology. So I don't know if this might be a fall read, but I think it will definitely be for winter for sure. Because, let's be honest, I still count winter as spooky season, so there we have it, friends. Okay, now that I have this first stack done, I'm gonna go switch out stacks while y'all take a quick break and we'll reconvene. Sound good? Cool. Alright, I'm back. How are y'all doing? Are we okay? Good, because I've got 26 more minutes left on my camera storage before I start getting myself in some trouble. So, we're going to make this next pile super, super quick. Okay, so, House of Leaves. This is by Mark Z. Danielewski. So this is one I think I talked about last year, maybe? Yeah, so this is a giant sort of epistolarian style novel where multiple people contributed to writing this book. So, again, I'm probably not going to go into super, super detail about this, but I will say this has been one that's been on the TBR for a very long time. I don't think I've read it because it's so expansive to the point where I feel like I'm going to have already slumped reading this. So, this is very much hopeful for October, but we'll see where we get. Okay, next one. This is kind of going to be a laugh, but I've got The Divine Comedy by Dante himself. This is what my sister got for me for Christmas last year because we both really got into Hozier's Unreal Unearthed album. Again, this might be a super ambitious one. I don't know if I'm going to get to it, but we'll see where we end up. We're going to read a classic. It was going to be fun. Yeah. Next one, I've talked about this book before. I think either last year. I don't remember. It's Bram Stoker's Dracula, guys. Do I really need to go into detail about this? I still have only read the graphic novel version of it, but I'm hoping to actually get to the physical version of it. I joined a Fable book club that's going to be reading this book, so this might be one I start October with. Maybe. Oh, girl. We cannot crash out now. Oh, no. Speaking of vampires, we've got Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Sailing by V.E. Schwab. So, this is the ultimate toxic lesbian vampire novel that everyone's screaming about. This is going to be a fun one. This is definitely going to be one for October, so here we go. This is a story about hunger. 1532, Santo Domingo de la Calzada. A young girl grows up wild and wily. Her beauty is only outmatched by her dream of escape. But Maria knows she can only ever be a prize, or a pawn, in the games played by men. When an alluring stranger offers an alternate path, Maria makes a desperate choice. She vows to have no regrets. This is a story about love. 1827, London. A young woman lives an idyllic but cloistered life on her family's estate until a moment of forbidden intimacy sees her shipped off to London. Charlotte's tender heart and seemingly impossible wishes are swept away by an invitation from a beautiful widow, but the price of freedom is higher than she could have ever imagined. This is a story about rage. 2019,
Boston. College was supposed to be her chance to be someone new. That's why Alice moved halfway across the world, leaving her old life behind. But after an out-of-character one-night stand leaves her questioning her past, present, and her future, Alice throws herself into the hunt for answers and revenge. This is a story about life, how it ends, and how it starts.
I know a lot of people have talked about this. And I know people love it. I know other people have also been burned out by it. I don't know where I'm going to end up with this. But I'm very hopeful and very excited. So that's that. Okay. Next one is 13th Child by Aaron A. Craig. So this is, I think it's a young adult fantasy? Yeah, it's a young adult fantasy. Hazel Tripus has always known she wasn't like her siblings. A 13th child promised to one of the gods. She spends her childhood waiting for her benefactor, Merrick, the god of death, to arrive and take her away. When he does, he lays out exactly what he's planned for Hazel's future. She will become a great and celebrated healer. To aid her endeavors, Merrick blesses Hazel with a gift: the ability to instantly deduce the exact cure needed to treat the sick. But all gifts come with a price. Of course they do. Hazel can see when death has claimed a patient and is tasked with ending their suffering permanently. Haunted by the ghosts of those she's killed, Hazel longs to run. But destiny brings her to the royal court, where she meets Leopold, a rakish prince with a disdain for everyone and everything. And that's where Hazel faces her biggest dilemma yet. Should she save the life of a king marked to die? Hazel knows what she is meant to do and what her heart is urging her toward. But what will happen if she goes against the will of death himself? From the astonishing mind of Aaron A. Craig comes the breathtaking fairy tale retelling readers have been waiting for. Ooh, okay.
What does a life well lived mean? And how do we justify the impossible choices we make for the ones we love?
Oh, so I did not know this was a retelling. Okay. Fun. This is definitely going on October, for sure, so this will be very, very fun. Hemlock and Silver. This is another retelling that is by T. Kingfisher, so I think this is a Snow White retelling? Yeah, I think this is a Snow White retelling. Okay, anyway, let's go. Healer Anya regularly drinks poison, not to die, but to save, seeking cures for those everyone else has given up on. But a summons from the king interrupts her quiet, herb-obsessed life. His daughter, Snow, is dying, and he hopes Anya's unorthodox methods can save her. Aided by a taciturn guard, a narcissistic cat, with a passion for the scientific method, Anya rushes to treat Snow, but nothing seems to work. That is, until she finds a secret world, hidden inside a magic mirror. This dark realm may hold the key to what is making Snow sick. Or it might be the thing that kills them all. Ooh, very fun, very fun, very fun, very fun. Okay, this one, again, I'm not going to go into super mega detail about this because I've talked about this one before. Nightweaver, Arm Grey, it's young adult, it's pirates, it's fantasy, it's... I need to read it this fall, okay? I'm not going to go into detail about that because... Okay. Immortal Consequences. This is by I.V. Marie. This kind of seems like a Atlas 6 adjacent. So let me read to you what it's about. Welcome to Blackwood Academy, the legendary school located on the fringes of the afterlife. Once the pupil enters the Academy's arched gates, there is no way out. Except for the decennial, a once-in-a-decade celebration in which a single worthy student is tested and given a choice. Graduate and join Blackwood's magical elite, or cross over to the mysterious other side. This time, though, the rules have changed. This decennial isn't a celebration, it's a competition, and there can only be one winner. Two academic arch-rivals whose strange connection blurs the line between obsession and hate. One girl driven solely by ambition, and another plagued by memories of the love she lost. And a charming playboy who never cared for anyone until he met the Academy's newest student. Each of these 6 students has their own motivation to win, and their own secret to hide. But what none of them know? They aren't the only ones playing Blackwood's game. And if they lose, some beats
are worse than death. So yeah, this will be very interesting to see how this compares to the Atlas 6. So, fingers crossed. Hee hee. Last one, guys! Woo! Last one! Okay, so, I talked about this briefly in the last video, but I'm going to go into more detail about it now. Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. So, this is a sci-fi dystopian-ish novel? I'll confirm. Are you happy with your life? Those are the last words Jason Desson hears before the masked abductor knocks him unconscious. Before he awakens to find himself strapped to a gurney, surrounded by strangers in hazmat suits. Before, a man Jason's never met smiles down at him and says, "Welcome back, my friend." In this world he's woken up to, Jason's life is not the one he knows. His wife is not his wife. His son was never born. And Jason is not an ordinary college physics professor, but a celebrated genius who has achieved something remarkable. Something impossible. Is it this life or the other that's the dream? And even if the home he remembers is real, how can Jason possibly make it back to the family he loves? The answers lie in a journey more wondrous and horrifying than anything he could have imagined. One that will force him to confront the darkest parts of himself, even as he battles a terrifying, seemingly unbeatable foe. From the author of the best-selling Wayward Pines trilogy, Dark Matter is a brilliantly plotted tale that is at once sweeping and intimate, mind-bendingly strange, and profoundly human. A relentlessly surprising science fiction thriller about choices, paths not taken, and how far we'll go to claim the lives we dream of. So I've been on a super huge Blake Crouch kick this year. I've read the whole Wayward Pines trilogy. I actually just finished The Last Town last night, so this will be very, very fun to see where this goes. We did it! We have gone through all the books that are here on my fall TBR this year. Again, am I gonna get to all these? I have no idea. Will there probably be some more books that I throw in between? Very likely. But this makes up a good chunk of what I have available at my fingertips. I think I went through 19 books today. If I could at least make a dent in any of these 19 books that are under my arms here, fantastic. If not, then I need to lower my expectations next year. That's it. I'm scared. please send me good vibes. Also, if you made it to the end, please comment down below what book you're excited to see me read. And just please give me some moral support because I'm gonna need it. Okay. Anyway, thanks for sticking out with me for this very longly detailed spooky TBR. And I hope you had a good time, and I'll try to provide an update on my reading where I can, so happy spooky season! Bye! What am I doing to myself? Oh god.